Welcome to Yellowbrick Road. I am Jordan, and today we're going to watch Tucker Carlson's interview with the president of Iran. I'm down. But first, don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, then donate. Thank you. All of it appreciated. So I saw a little preview thing from Tucker Carlson. I'm like, you know what? I'll wait till he actually does the interview. And hope this is on, right? Yeah, it's on. I saw some of the timestamps linked by Tucker, and I thought they were interesting. Interesting ideas to go over. Actually, I think they're very interesting. But once again, when you ask something and it's coming from a one-sided position, we have nothing to bounce off, right? To say like what's true and what's not. Does Iran actually believe that or not? Are they doing propaganda or not? It's kind of hard to judge. But to get the answers out loud, I think is actually like important and interesting. So without further ado, let's just jump into this. Here's Tucker Carlson with the Iranian president, whatever the fuck his name is. There we go.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Actually, his name. What's his name? Masoud Pezeshkian, president of Iran. All right. So his name's on record right there. See that right there. Got it. All right. Let's start over. Here we go.
Mr. President, thank you very much for doing this. There is a pause, or seems to be a pause, in the war between the United States and Iran. How do you think this will end? How would you like to see it end?
We did not start this war, and we do not want this war to continue in any way. From the very beginning, it was the motto of my administration that I always adhere to, and that was fostering the national unity inside the country and also fostering peace and tranquility and friendship with the neighboring countries and with the rest of the world.
Now, as far as I understand, they were getting better relations with Saudi Arabia, which they've been kind of fighting proxy wars with each other for a decent amount of years. Like, if you remember, like Yemen and Saudi Arabia, and the way Saudi Arabia was just nonstop bombing them, there was a thing there. But now, we've seen Saudi Arabian leaders meeting with Iranian leaders. I had a theory and reports I've heard that Saudi Arabia is like, yo, listen, you have to give up Palestine. You're going to have to be like cool with Israel if you want to be entered into the fold. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of part of that idea. We have to. I'll let it keep going because I think there's theories you can run off here. And once again, I also warn, does not mean automatically just take Iran's side. because that'd be stupid, right? I'm just saying. All right, here we go.
American President Donald Trump has said that the United States bombed your enrichment facilities because the government of Iran refused to give up its nuclear program.
This is a very important question. Very important question.
There can be no peace until Iran does give up that because the United States bombed your enrichment facilities because the government of Iran refused to give up its nuclear program. And that there can be no peace until Iran does give up that nuclear program.
Tucker said nuclear program.
To give up the nuclear.
He didn't say weapons.
Yes. Yeah, because there's nuclear and he should have made that clear. I think he should have made that clear, right? Good point, Jesse. I mean, he didn't say nuclear weapons, yes, but make it extra clear that there's civilian use nuclear energy, right? And then there's we're going to create nuclear warheads and drop bombs on people, right? Completely different things. So maybe the Iranian guy clears that up. Once again, forgive me, audience. This is probably quite jumbled up, but I took in some of the critiques from the Nick Fuentes fans where I'm talking over the video, and I want everything to be as clear as possible. That's a good question, or a good start of a question, or interesting topic. But Tucker could definitely add it to that to bring up the difference between enriching for nuclear energy and enriching for nuclear weapons. And then plutonium on top of that and all that. I think that would be important to be brought up so that, because Americans can't tell the difference, I think. I think a lot of them get lost and they think enrichment means we're making a bomb only. That's all that means, which is not the case as far as I understand. But all right, here we go.
And friendship with the neighboring countries and with the rest of the world.
The American President Donald Trump has said that the United States bombed your enrichment facilities because the government of Iran refused to give up its nuclear program, and that there can be no peace until Iran does give up that nuclear program. Would you be willing to give up the nuclear program in exchange for peace?
I would like to tell you what has happened, and it was Netanyahu since 1984 has created this false mentality that Iran seeks a nuclear bomb, and it has insinuated that Iran is trying to develop a nuclear bomb in the past, and it has put it in the minds of every U.S. president since then, and to make them believe that we would like to have a nuclear bomb. But the truth is that we have never been after developing a nuclear bomb, not in the past, not presently, or in the future, because this is wrong, and this is in contrast to the religious decree or the fatwa which has been issued by His Eminence, the Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, that so it is religiously forbidden for us to go after a nuclear bomb. And this was always corroborated thanks to our cooperation with IAEA, because they were always there that to verify this and to substantiate that we have never wanted a nuclear bomb. But unfortunately, this cooperation was disturbed by the unlawful attacks against our nuclear facilities.
That's not good enough. Now, I understand people want to lean towards favoring Iran and all of this, but that's not, Tucker should have a follow-up question of well, why'd you enrich up to, you enrich for deterrent purposes, right? Up to that 60% or maybe even more, who knows? Maybe less, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, who knows? But reports were saying 60% enrichment, right? What was the point of that? At the very least, you're pump faking at it. And those pump fakes don't work unless someone believes that you might make a nuclear weapon, right? Right? So there's your follow-up question right there, Tucker. Right, Tucker? Let's see where he goes. I have not seen this, by the way. I have not seen this interview. I'm saying. All right, here we go.
So you have, according to news reports, withdrawn your cooperation from IAEA, the International Nuclear Regulatory Agency. And so there's, I suppose, no way for the rest of the world to know how much uranium you're enriching and to what extent, to what percentage it's being enriched. Okay. And so is there any way to verify, and would you be willing to allow other nations to verify that you are not building nuclear weapons?
Mr. Carlson, sir, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we were right in the middle of holding talks with the United States. And the President of the United States invited us to hold such talks in order to have peace. And we were told during the process of these negotiations and talks that as long as we don't give the permission to Israel, they are not going to attack you. And we were going to have the next round of the talks very soon. But in the middle of it, suddenly Israel torpedoed the negotiating table. We were sitting at the negotiating table when it happened. And by doing this, they totally ruined and destroyed diplomacy. But
hold on, I have to stop them there because, as far as I understood, the thing wasn't legitimate in the first place. Of negotiate, like the negotiations weren't in a realistic place in the first place. If that makes sense, like if the U.S. is saying, once again, I'm repeating this for the 10,000th fucking time. Forgive me, but like if the U.S. is saying no enrichment at all, and Iran saying we want some enrichment, or whatever, or it's up to us. Essentially, is what they're saying, right? It's up to us. We want enrichment for civilian use, right? But it's still up to us. Like it's our enrichment, and the U.S. is saying no enrichment. Like you're actually not going anywhere, right? What is progress between those two lanes right there? As far as I understand, there is no progress between those two lanes. To this day, the U.S. is still saying no enrichment. I mean, they're conflating it with nuclear bomb, but they're also saying outright no enrichment. Iran is saying, yes, we are going, like, it's going to be up to us. We're going to enrich if we want to. Blow our facility up, we'll start somewhere else. We will do that. So they've actually made no moves in regards to quote-unquote talks. And I figured Iran would know that, right? Wouldn't they know that? Like, wait a minute, these guys are bullshit. Like, this is a bullshit. This is Fugazi. This is bullshit. They're making it seem like they're doing peace talks when in reality they're not actually doing that. So thus, these are not real peace talks. I would have figured Iran would have went with that, but instead they're saying like, "Oh, we were doing talks, we were doing peace talks," but then Israel came in and right. Seems like where he's going, which is I mean, sure, okay. Let's blame Israel for that. All right, here we go. It sounds like bullshit to me. It doesn't sound right, but I'm not an expert. I'm just saying what I think. All right, here we go.
And in order to answer your question with regards to the surveillance or the supervision over our nuclear program, I would like to say that we are ready to hold talks over it. We have never been the party that has run away from verification. We stand ready to have these supervisions, but unfortunately, as a result of the United States unlawful attacks against our nuclear centers and installations, many of the pieces of equipment and the facilities there have been severely damaged. Therefore, we don't have any access to them. We cannot see, and unless this access is going to be back there again, we have to wait for it and to see what happens and how much they have been damaged so that we can go for the supervision.
There have been news reports that your government believes that the IAEA was spying
I was about to say
on
that.
the government of Iran and passing information to Israel. Do you believe that? And if so, do you have evidence that that's true that the world could see?
I would like to tell you that we were, yes, somehow pessimistic about the activities of the IAEA because somehow we realized that Israel could get information from the inspections which were carried out by the IAEA, but it never prevented the IAEA from carrying out their activities inside Iran, and they had full access to supervise and to have surveillance over our nuclear facilities. But there was this lack of trust as the result of the last report by IAEA. The type of the report and the way they prepared the report somehow gave an excuse to the Israeli regime and prepared the ground for their unlawful and unauthorized attack against our nuclear facilities. And even after that, the IAEA failed to condemn these attacks or try to anyway to stop them. And this ran counter to the international law, and this resulted in a widespread lack of trust among the Iranians, Iranian legislators, and the public opinion here.
You've suggested that you were anxious to resolve your conflicts with the United States through diplomacy and that was derailed by war. Would you be willing to restart diplomacy? And could you tell us in general but precise terms the kind of deal you would be willing to accept?
You see, I am of the belief that we could very much easily resolve our differences and conflicts with the United States through dialogue and talks. And the international law could serve as the framework or the basis for a deal in which the rights of all nations, Iranian nation, would be respected. But unfortunately, it was Netanyahu that destroyed these diplomacy and these diplomatic efforts. We have always, we never wanted anything beyond the respect for our rights, rightful rights, enshrined in international law. But as I said, it was Netanyahu that brought unrest to our region and is fomenting unrest and tensions in the region. As I have always said, we have always been after peace. It has been my motto. It has been my belief. It has been my heartfelt opinion that we need to live in peace and harmony during this short and limited time granted to us by God Almighty, to live in peace and tranquility with everybody. And everybody in the world should live like that. But I would also like, on the other hand, to reiterate that our people are capable enough to defend themselves in self-defense during any kind of attack. And I believe that the United States president can very well guide the region and the world to peace and tranquility, or, on the other hand, to lead it to forever wars.
Yeah, he need to use those words for Tucker's show. Once again, I'm like, yo, hold him to it. I don't know this fucking guy. I don't know the leadership of Iran. I saw a lot of bullshit happening from all sides in regards to Iran, Israel, US, Iran, like all of it around. I saw a lot of bullshit happening and PRing for their own weaponry. And, oh, God is great, as they're bombing shit. Or it's whatever. The evil terrorists are being destroyed. Whatever the marketing terms are for these conflicts. But I'd be like, let's hold you to it. The problem is the U.S. the people in charge of our government right now. Sorry, they don't actually care about peace. Sorry to red alert you right now. They don't care about peace. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here in the first fucking. They created the scenarios or played a role in the scenarios that led to where we're at right now. Straight up. So, this is not a matter of they tried to avoid, and then boom, they drop a bomb because they had no choice. This was openly avoidable from the beginning. And yes, I point you back to the statement I said before about negotiations, right? Where neither side was actually moving. So when someone says they want peace, but these are the actual components of the negotiations, yeah, I'm saying bullshit all around. Once again, some people are going to favor Iran in all of this. Some people will favor the U.S. Some people will favor Israel. This is what's going to happen of regular people. But I beg you to consider that maybe you're not considered in regards to these guys talking or fighting each other. Please consider that idea, that you're not important in regards to these guys' discussions with each other. I'm just saying. Or why this guy is talking to Tucker Carlson and saying forever wars. I'm just saying. Could be PR, bro. Could be PR. But that's just me. I just question everything up and down. Forgive me for that, but here you go.
Do you have
You mean
plans
do nothing, Jordan?
to
Like,
re-enter negotiations with the United States, with Envoy Steve Witkoff or anyone else? And if not, what do you think will happen?
We see no problem in re-entering the negotiations. But
call
before
for what
that,
it is.
I have to remind you that because of the atrocities by the Zionist regime, by Israel, not just against my country.
Okay. So I just saw the closed caption. And the guy said, the translator said Zionist. And the dub said, or not the dub, the closed caption said Chinese. And I'm just saying. Just pointing it out. Forgive me. I'm not trying to be too conspiratorial. I'm just pointing it out. But here you go.
By the Zionist regime, by Israel, not just against my country, but in the whole region. We are now facing a crisis. The people are facing a crisis that we need to put it behind ourselves. Our commanders were off duty. They were spending the night at their homes with their families, but they were killed. And this is considered a war crime according to the international law, because they were off duty, as I said, or our scientists were also killed and assassinated along with their families and their wives and their children.
By the way, once again, America has killed American citizens overseas without any type of judge, jury, trial, rights that are supposed to be for you as an American. We have killed them overseas under Barack Obama and Donald Trump. So, yeah, this will not move us. This is for the American audience. And let's be real. Even if Iran thinks they're the most righteous people in the world, everything we're doing is righteous and justified and all that stuff, they still feel the need to do PR because they can't give the children too much shit to have to chew on. Pause. If we give them too much information, too much direct information, they might use it the wrong way. They might use it against us. So thus, we have to trick them with simple phrases, simple storylines, simple narratives, and hope they buy into it and get it. AKA, they're insulting your intelligence, just like the American government, Trump administration, Netanyahu and his administration. Like, these guys are saying simpleton shit to you because they not only do they not think you get it, I don't think they want you to get it. I think they'd rather you fall for simple narratives. Forgive me for saying that, but guess what? You're on trial too, audience. I am too, but I'm just saying, like, we're all on trial here. This is too important, bro. Too many people fucking die over this shit. Too many corrupt actions happen as a result of this shit. So, sorry, we're all on the fucking table. I'm just saying. All right, here we go.
They were also killed. Pregnant women, children. They were killed in the atrocities, in the attacks of the Israeli regime. Just because they wanted to kill one single person, they had to demolish and destroy a whole building. And as the result of this, a lot of innocent people were killed.
No, never.
A lot of people were killed. And as I said, there is this crisis that we have to put it behind ourselves. And there is a condition. There is a provision for the restarting the talks. How are we going to trust the United States again? We re-enter the negotiations. Then how can we know for sure that in the middle of the talks, the Israeli regime will not be given the permission again to attack us?
That's a great point. What, like, if you, okay, let's have negotiations or say pleasantries out loud, you know, as like a podium speech or whatever the fuck, right? It's like, how do you know you're not trying to lull us to sleep so that these guys can attack us in the side door? How do we know that? And that's a good fucking question. Because sorry Americans that are just paying attention to this stuff. Sorry. The U.S. and foreign policy is not fucking trustworthy. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not. I think you know that already, but, you know, if you're new here or you're new to these topics, they're not trustworthy from things we've seen. Sorry. So, yeah, their word is not good enough. Them saying, yeah, we'll do nothing about it. We're not going to hurt you. We're not going to harm you. Is not good enough. I know QAnon is saying, like, oh, they gave a heads up to Iran before they bombed there. But what about all the shit prior to, like, what about the entirety of all this time period? What's the point of that? Why kill so many people? For what reason? What's the point? Where are you getting to in regards to that? And it's like, let's be real, these QAnon people are being led to the idea, like, oh, he's doing that because Iran is evil. And we need to actually fire bombs, bullets, and all that shit at them. Oh, fuck, it makes sense now, because they actually are the bad guys. And we're the good guys. Not we, but the Trump administration. They're the good guys. The Democrats are the deep state evils. Like, this is where we go from there. I'm just saying. But, yeah, what trust should Iran have in the U.S.? And the U.S. handshake, let alone policy. Like, come on. Let's not be fucking stupid here, bro. Let's not be children. All right, here we go. Just please don't be stupid children, please. Just grow up a little bit. Come on. All right, here we go.
Do you believe the Israeli government tried to assassinate you?
They did try, yes.
What a follow-up, Tucker.
They acted accordingly.
You're so good at this, Tucker.
They failed. And as a true believer, I believe that it is in the hands of the God Almighty to determine when a person will die or will not die. If he wills, the God Almighty wills, then you can die when you are walking freely in the streets. And but I would like to tell you that I am not afraid of sacrificing myself for in defense of my country and in safeguarding and defending the sovereignty, the freedom and the independence of my country. I'm willing to give my life, to give blood for that. And nobody here, I mean, none of the government officials is afraid of losing their lives in line of defense. But will it bring security to the region? I mean, bloodshed, more bloodshed, assassination, killing others. Will it bring peace and tranquility and stability to the region?
With respect, can you tell us how
No.
you know that you were an assassination target? A week and a half ago, I don't believe I've seen that confirmed anywhere. How are you certain they tried to kill you?
Of course, it was not the U.S. that was behind the attempt on my life. It was Israel. I was in a meeting. We were discussing the ways to move forward. But thanks to the intelligence by the spies that they had, they tried to bombard the area that we were holding that meeting, in which we were holding that meeting. But as I told you before, it is God who wills when a person will die and give up his life. And once again, I would like to emphasize that we are not afraid of martyrdom. We are not afraid of sacrificing our lives for our people, for our independence. And I would like to tell you that this imposed war by the Israeli regime
Not good enough, Iran.
resulted in one thing, and that was more solidarity and unity amongst the Iranian people. And it proved yet once again that the Iranian people, no matter where they are in the whole wide world, they do care about their country, about the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of their motherland. And as I said, this brought about more solidarity, and it united us further. Thanks to this act of aggression by the Israeli regime. My proposal is that the U.S. administration should refrain from getting involved in a war that is not its war, that is not America's war. It is Netanyahu's war that is having its devilish machinations for the whole region. It has its own agenda. He has his own agenda, Netanyahu, I mean, inhuman agenda, and that is having forever wars that go on and on and on. And this is my proposal to the United States, not to be fooled by Netanyahu, not to be dragged into this kind of war.
I mean, is anyone else listening to this shit, bro? He's literally using our fucking hashtags as his statements. Like, come on. Like, I'm not stupid, dude. I'm not stupid. We're gonna be dragged. This is not America's war. It's Netanyahu's war. Like, come on, dude. Like, come on. Now, once again, not saying, like, fuck. These things, I can't tell who's good. There's no good and bad in any of this shit, in my opinion. This guy's PRing his ass off, just like other motherfuckers do. Now, granted, because they don't like, because a lot of people that are into these interviews, like they're into this, content creation world, or, watching these content creators or whatever the fuck, they don't like Israel and the way it behaves, right? But there's certain statements that they use that this guy just repeated back to Tucker Carlson that Tucker's going to let by without question, probably. All right? Because he doesn't... I'm sorry, bro. I'll be real with you. Tucker's not a big-time thinker. I'll be honest with you. I think he is what it is. He is what he is. But I don't think he's a big-time critical thinker. He's not going to pick up on, like, maybe slogans that are said. Like, dragged into the wars. Netanyahu's war. It's Israel's wars. Why are we fighting in Israel's war? Like, that's right there in his statements right there. Or at the very least, maybe the translator's lying and it's his words and not the guy actually saying it. I leave room for everything. Forgive me. But the words we just heard is so directly on point with the exact taglines we get as Americans to be against the war, right? Or against supporting Israel or whatever the fuck, right? Not saying we should support Israel. If you watch this channel, you know that already from me. I'm just saying I refuse to get tricked by anyone. I refuse it. I don't care where the fuck you're from. There is no bias in regards to this. When you tell me, but it's Israel and Netanyahu that wants to drag the U.S. into a war for their own purposes, for greater Israel, or whatever fucking narrative they come up with. And I hear psychopathic Candace Owens saying the same exact narrative. I'm like, okay, these guys are using that. They're using that to say, like, hey guys, we're not the bad guys. Those guys are. The guys in Israel, they're the bad guys, for real. Now, can someone honestly believe that and say that? Of course they can, for sure. I think there's room for that assessment. There is room for that. Of, Israel poking at Iran. Iran fires back, and they're like, hey, yo, U.S., you're just going to let us get bombed like this? Come on, help. Yeah, that makes sense, too. I understand that. But for you to turn your fucking brain off because you don't like Israel so much or whatever the fuck, or maybe you like Iran so much, to turn your fucking brain off is a fucking sin to me. And if you're hearing my voice right now, guess what? Now you know. Sorry. There's no, no one ever told me. I was never warned. Now you're warned. Now you know. Now you're being warned. I'm just saying. He used, the translator at the very least used too many phrases right there where I'm like, huh, I've heard that before. Is that how they talk in Iran too? Forever wars? Israel? Dragged? Is that their words too? Is that what they talk about over there? Same thing? Okay, got it. Okay, got it. That's the case, then fine. But as far as I understand, those are talking points. Sorry, guys. It's now a talking point by these, I guess, anti-interventionists, which I think is another tagline this guy used too. This Iranian guy used. Tucker's asking no actual follow-up questions. Let's be honest. He's not doing that either. God, I'm gonna feel like the bad guy again. I feel so bad about that. I'm so sorry, guys. I think I should just shut up. I'm being the bad guy again. I'm like, damn, I just question everything I'm hearing. I'm so sorry about that. I'm not hearing any substance, by the way, from these discussions. I'm hearing talking points.
If Netanyahu drags the U.S. into another forever war, we will dog walk him.
Come on, bro.
The words are like nails on chalkboard, right?
Well, it's been so repeated, right, Jess? It's been repeated 10 million times. Almost those exact words, almost. Repeated 10 million times. Where it's like, why am I watching Tucker Carlson ask a foreign leader to respond to Tucker Carlson with Tucker Carlson? Why is Tucker talking to himself in his interview? Should we have questions that dig deeper, Tucker? Right? What would be the things you want? Why not get those questions and answers? Right? What do you want from negotiations, Iran? What do you want from them? Okay, and by when you mean enrichment, you don't mean nuclear bombs, right? You mean this or that. You can get into detail about that, but instead, the guy just gets to say, "Yeah, we had a fatwa on nuclear weapons." Oh well, why were you enriching up to 60%? Is that true or not? If that's false, please say it right now. If it's true, why were you enriching that high if you have a fatwa on nuclear weapons? Because that's another talking point I've heard before. Not from Iranians, but from Americans talking about this, and British people too. Talking about this on Twitter and on content creation channels and all that shit. Okay. Why'd you enrich to 60%? If it's bullshit, tell us it's bullshit right now so we can just, you can make your argument and find a room for dismissing that idea. If it's true, why were you doing that? Because Dave Smith or Scott Horton, I think maybe even Tucker, have given me the reason that they're doing it for the sake of deterrence, right? To deter, say, hey, listen, maybe we do make a nuke, all right? Stay away from us. If you guys keep fucking with us, we might make a nuke. That is the deterrent, right? If that's the case, then it's so you should be threatening to develop a nuclear weapon. Shouldn't you? If you're going to use it as a deterrent, essentially. Shouldn't you be saying that? It's fucking weird, dude. You said that weird. Like, logically, that's weird, right? Whatever, man. I'll just be the villain again. Fuck it. Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Iran's a good guy. Israel does this. Israel. Right? I'll be the fucking bad guy again. Fuck it. Alright, here we go. Or, Jesse, you want to say anything? See you unmuted. Want to say anything?
Oh, the only thing is that it somewhat reminds me of Netanyahu's speech, where he was like speaking to Americans. He was referencing the Bible, like basically things like that were just talking to us and not his own people.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just the words used like remind me of that.
Oh, yeah. And he does that with the hostages. Or the PR in America about Israel Gaza is about hostages because they're trying to play off our sensibilities. But in Israel, they don't talk about the hostages like that. Not like that. They do, but they're not like that. Right? Where it's like actual full-blown sympathy towards getting hostages out. In Israel, they're like, listen, we need to fuck them up and kill them all. It's essentially their narrative over there. And if we can save the hostages, fine, we'll do that too. As far as I've seen, I could be wrong about that, but that's what I've seen. But for in America, man, like, yeah, a feedback loop of it's like what makes the Iranian guy different than any other Tucker Carlson guest talking about Iran and Israel. Like, come on. Don't be that stupid, guys. Pretend you're not. Just don't be insulted. Don't let your intelligence be insulted. But here's Tucker's follow up to that, which he once again, his follow ups have been nothing burgers so far. Nothing real of substance that I think mainstream audiences that Tucker has, right? Tucker has a mainstream audience. Somewhat, right? Like he has a big audience. Let's say that. To like explain the full context. Sorry, Tucker. Not everyone's hanging on to every little word that Douglas McGregor's saying. They don't hold on to every little word that these guys are saying, whether they're right or wrong. Not everyone's doing that. They're trying to get the gist of it, right? And if you reiterate by asking this guy a question like, hey, you guys are definitely not looking for a nuclear weapon, right? Oh, you're not? Okay. So what was with the 60% thing? If he doesn't, not following up on that screams mainstream media access to people. Meaning, maybe this guy will come back on my show and I can ask him more questions later on. Which we see goes nowhere. I've seen friends do that. I've seen people that were in this Discord talking to us and we're like, "Yo, you can't let this happen. Can't let this happen." When asking questions of this person, you can't let that happen. And they let it happen for the sake of having them back on their show again. And it's like, no, like fucking let it fly, man. All right, here we go.
Many Americans are afraid of Iran. You say you're not afraid, but Americans are afraid of Iran. And they believe that Iran would like to strike the United States with a nuclear weapon.
What a question.
They see video of Iranians saying,
hey, Iran, according to Americans, Iran wants to fuck up America. What do you say to that? No, I don't. All right, thank you. Next question. Like, that's what I'm hearing right now. Forgive me for predicting the future. I have not seen this interview yet. Let's not be surprised. Here we go.
Death to America, describing our country as the great Satan. Dude. What is your opinion of that? Should we be afraid of Iran?
I believe that this is a very wrong impression that anybody might have of Iran or the Iranians. I would like to remind you that Iran has never invaded another country in the last 200 years.
Wait, so Iran doesn't hate America? Got it. What a question, Tucker. What a pivotal fucking question. Fuck. Sorry, once again, I'm playing the bad guy again. Forgive me. I'll be the meanie, though. I'll be the villain because I have to. My heart demands it. My conscience demands it. Sorry, guys.
when they say
What a
death
fucking
to the
question.
United States, it doesn't mean death to, they don't mean death to the people of the United States or even to the officials of the United States. They mean death to crimes, death to killing and carnage, death to supporting killing others, death to insecurity and instability. This is. Have you ever heard that an Iranian killing an American? Have you ever heard that? Or a terrorist that was Iranian and he carried out a terrorist attack?
Yes, they have talking points that, once again, never get debunked. A lot of just flow through. The IEDs with Soleimani, right? Where the United States, back in the Bush era, blamed Soleimani for IEDs. Thus, any IED death in the Middle East is blamed on Iran, essentially. Hamas is blamed on Iran. The Houthis are blamed on Iran. Hezbollah blamed on Iran. Like, there's probably groups in Africa blamed on Iran. So yes, they do blame Iran for certain attacks and shit like that. Also, they'll go back in the past. Beirut, the attack in Beirut where 200-something fucking military people died. American military people died. They'll blame that on Iran. Like, oh fuck! Or this is like amateur hour interviewing. Like, not interviewing, but like the topic. The nature of it is so amateurish. It's keeping everything clean so the foreign leader feels comfortable type of shit. And to me, it's just like boring and uninformative. This is for like the lames, essentially. But here we go.
Against
for
the
interrupting
Americans.
God tier.
No,
Carlson.
it was your president who confessed that the Americans created the ISIS in our region, and they were responsible for this wrong image that is portrayed of religion or the Muslims in the world.
That is actually an interesting point. Although I do hear Americans say that as well. Right, which is America and Israel and the UK created ISIS as like a foe to defeat. But really, it's an excuse to kind of navigate the territories under the guise of the war on terror. Thus, we can move into, from Iraq and Afghanistan, we can move into Somalia and Sudan and Libya and Pakistan and Lebanon and Syria. Like, we could just move in these areas now because we created the bad guy that goes in all these areas, Africa as well, into Central Africa as well. Because these bad guys are all over the place, we have an excuse to go enter those places, and thus regime change them. So, once again, the ideas he's saying there may be foreign for a lot of people. Maybe a lot of Tucker's audience. I don't know. I can't say I know that one. But I've heard that plenty before. Plenty. I'm surprised he didn't say Israel, too, in regards to ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all that stuff. But here we go. I mean, well, it'll look bad. It would look bad if these guys funded like someone like Hamas, right? If Iran did that, if they funded and armed Hamas, while at the same time Israel funded and armed Hamas, that would look pretty bad, right? That would look like, wait a minute, there's a game being played on me. I don't like that. So maybe both sides stay away from doing that. But here we go.
And once again, I would like to tell you and remind you that this is not death to the American people or to the officials. Death to crimes and atrocities, to bullying, to the use of force, and anybody who would like to become an accomplice in the crimes perpetrated by others.
So, yeah, that's kind of a... Would that fly with regular Americans hearing that? Would that fly with them? Maybe that would fly. It doesn't mean death to America. I always understood that it meant like not American people, like motherfuckers going grocery shopping and shit like that. But I thought I did think it meant like the military and the whole U.S. government apparatus and intelligence agencies and all that stuff. I thought it meant that for sure, right? Like fuck your imperialist expansionism type of stuff, right? Fuck your global expansionism. Fuck that. That's what I thought it meant originally, but I guess he means anything bad. Anything bad that happens is death to America. I don't know if that makes sense. I thought it was about
Remember
American
when we
imperialism, right? Yeah, God.
invaded Iraq? They hate our way of life. We hear that like all the time.
Oh, we mean
It's like, really?
we mean death to McDonald's, death to Walmart, death to. It's like okay, like damn, you guys should probably like sit down and think about it and examine what you really mean by death to America instead of just saying this fucking answer. That's not a good answer, I don't think. But then again, we're all here for PR, right? We're here for that. And once again, Jordan's an asshole for calling out all sides of things when he thinks something's wrong. Here we go.
Accomplice in the crimes perpetrated by others.
2 Iranian ayatollahs have issued fatwas against Donald Trump. What does that mean exactly, and what do you think of it?
To the best of my knowledge, they have not issued decrees or fatwas against any individual or against Donald Trump. And first off, it has nothing to do with the Iranian government or to His Eminence, the Supreme Leader of Iran. Or what they actually meant by the fatwa was in condemnation of an insult to a religion or religious personalities, and they were actually saying that this is deplorable, this is unacceptable. So it was not directed towards the U.S. president or any other individual, and there might be people with their own ideas and opinions, but I can assure you that the meaning of this fatwa should not be construed or considered as a threat against any individual.
Has Iran ever backed an assassination attempt against Donald Trump?
This is actually what...
Sorry to pause, but I understand. Like, this is... Okay, Tucker's trying to debunk the on-the-surface reasons why a lot of these kind of war hawk people are dying to go to war with Iran, and they use reasons like this. The attempted assassination of Donald Trump, which I never believed in the first place. I never thought, personally, maybe there's evidence for it, but I never looked into it. I'm like, this sounds like bullshit, that Iran was trying to assassinate Donald Trump at any point. I just didn't believe that one. I just didn't. It makes sense to me. And also, if they tried to assassinate you, which is what Trump has been, it's not just Netanyahu repeating that, it's Trump's been repeating that before as well. Like, why are you doing peace negotiations with a country that tried to assassinate you? Doesn't make any sense. It literally makes no sense. So they put a hit on your head, but you're also like, let's negotiate for to make Iran great again. Makes no sense. No fucking sense. But all right, let's hear this answer. Here we go.
An attempt against Donald Trump.
This is actually what Netanyahu is trying to insinuate and to make your people or the president of your country to believe. But this is wrong because Netanyahu, as I said, has its own agenda. It wants to drag the U.S. into forever wars, as I said.
Yeah, he went back to the talking. I mean, straight from Twitter, this fool's talking from. Straight from Twitter, he's talking from. How are we not, like, wrecked by that? I'm wrecked by that. How are we just, like, open? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what people are saying right now because this is my first time seeing this. And I didn't see too many comments about it. I mean, I saw some things here or there, but I didn't really, like, fully dive into, like, what people think about this. But, like, he's repeating shit you see on Twitter. Like, straight up. No. It's not about Donald Trump. This is about Israel and Netanyahu, maybe in particular. His administration in particular. who want forever wars, and they drag the U.S. into them, and yada yada yada. And it's like, good God, if you fall for this, I don't know what to fucking tell you, bro. It's just PR. It
It
seems like
looks like
PR.
it's like Tucker's trying to, like, you were just saying a little bit ago, like, debunk
Yep.
like all the reasons they tell us why we're going to war, right?
Yep.
Now, obviously, this guy could be straight lying about any of these points, right? But this interview is setting up like whatever happens next, when we when we're something else is going to happen, it will, and like this guy is telling us, no, you don't want. We're not looking for making nuclear weapons. We're not trying to kill the president. We don't, like, like he's basically having the Iranian guy say all of these things. So when they do tell us this picture of somebody who's just out to kill us and they hate us and all this, it's like you got to explain that a little bit better, right? Like you can't just,
Yeah.
like, he's not like a mysterious, like, okay, in one way you're putting a face to somebody, you're seeing, he's not like in the other types of videos where somebody's like flailing around to a big audience. He's just calm guy sitting on. So you're putting a face to this message of peace, basically, right? And he's like, yeah, I don't blame you guys. I don't blame the U.S. It's Israel. That's who we have beef with. You guys stay over there. We got nothing, no problems with you, right? Like, so
Yeah.
if you're gonna start bombing, it was like, what are we doing? Why, right? He's setting it up like that for
Yeah. And I
like
mean,
prevention.
throughout the bombing of between Israel and Iran, Iran was like, yeah, U.S. is complicit in all of this because they were complicit
Mhm,
blatantly.
mhm.
But for
Yeah.
this interview, you change it around a bit, right? And the way
Yep.
the interview is being conducted, once again, I don't know what rubric or standards or whatever the fuck they were asking Tucker to like go through. Maybe he's doing it on his own, right? It could be bullshit like narrative spinning for the sake of foreign governments, or it could be not for like I work for them, but like to make sure it goes smoothly, right? Make sure the interview goes
Mhm.
smoothly. Or if it's something where Tucker's just doing it on his own, where he's like, okay, I will debunk all the points that the U.S. State Department is saying as to why we're involved in this conflict. I'll debunk them by just asking one to one. And it's as silly as, once again, Tucker didn't ask this, but this is like, hypothetically or metaphorically, even, right? Where it's like, hey, Donald Trump said recently, or sorry, the State Department said recently that you wear dresses on the weekends. You put on high heels and a dress. And the response from the Iranian government is, no, I don't do that. And that's it. That's essentially what I'm hearing here. Now, if you're not keeping pace with what I'm saying with that, forgive me for not explaining that further. But I think it's pretty obvious what I'm saying here, right? Where it's like, oh, they have said that you wanted to assassinate Donald Trump. No, we didn't. Thank you. Next question. They said you wanted to, like, right? It's kind of like that, right? Am I
Yeah,
tripping?
yeah. Tucker's spoon feeding, like he's not challenging. He's challenging more the things that our government has told us, as
Yes.
as opposed to challenging him on what he's saying. So,
Yes.
yeah, I do think that he's saying that if he can, like, I could be wrong, but it looks like he's trying to see, like, can he influence a de-escalatory conversation,
Yes.
right?
Yep. I leave room for that. I leave room for that, Jesse. And I'm going to say, like, once again, Tucker could mean to be like, okay, here's how we, like you said, de escalate or debunk some of the narratives that could escalate things later on. Like, let me debunk them here by conducting the interview this way, which is fine. But at the same time, for me personally, I still have to call it a dog shit fucking interview. It's dog shit, dude. These questions are like the questions aren't the worst things ever. It's more of there's no follow up on them. That's the real dog shit part. It's just asking a question, you're getting one to one answers, and it's like, yeah, anyone could say that. Anyone can say that, regardless of their intentions. That's why you dig with further and deeper questions to get them to like maybe admit something or get them to say like oopsies, right? He did it with Ted Cruz, right? He kind of got him to say oopsies out loud, right? So, so once again, Tucker can have a heart of gold, and his main goal is to de-escalate and make sure American people realize that it isn't some terrorist regime over there in Iran. Fair enough, but for me, at the very least, you have to admit it's a dog shit interview. It's a one-to-one fucking question-answer to debunk narratives that were just thrown out there by the U.S. and by Israel and maybe other countries as well, but mainly like the U.S. Right? That's Tucker's main focus apparently. So once again, you can call me the bad guy or the asshole for speaking about it this way or asking questions this way, but let's be real. If some fucking commentator or journalist or whoever the fuck uses this content and says, look, see, now we understand they were never making nukes. How do you know? Because Tucker asked him. He said no, he wasn't. That's not good enough. That's not good enough, guys. It's not good enough. I'm sorry. That's not me saying I think Iran wants to make nukes. It's not me saying that. It's just me saying this is not good enough to in a way, verbally showcase or attempt to prove or add evidence or context to showcase that Iran does not want nukes. I think a terrible way to. It's just a boring, trash way to do it, in my humble opinion. But I would understand if Tucker went that route and why people might celebrate this. How do we know Iran doesn't have nukes? Well, they said it on a Tucker interview. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. And the U.S. State Department and the Israeli State Department, they will abuse that. They will abuse it because you left room for them to dance in. If you ask further, deeper questions, maybe it's harder for them to debunk that notion. But because it's just simple one-to-one questions, you don't get anywhere, dude. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that, guys. This is not me cheering for more war or anything like that, or cheering for narratives. It's just, come on, man. Come on. Whatever. All right, here we go.
And to bring more insecurity, instability, and unrest to the whole region.
There are some large number of Iranian nationals living in the United States. Some have said they are, quote, sleeper cells. They are terrorists who are acting at the command of your government. Would you right now make a statement to Iranian citizens living in the United States not to commit acts of violence in the United States?
Saeed is just leading the question. I thought he was just going to ask him, like, hey, are there sleeper cells in the United States that are prepared to let off suicide bombs or whatever the fuck, or launch an attack at any moment? That would have been better, even though it's still kind of guiding the question, but it's still better than, like, can you just prove to everyone that you're not doing that? Thank you. Like, is that how you ask questions as a journalist? Is that how you do things? Now, granted, I didn't believe that bullshit. I didn't believe that narrative that was sent out by the United States and the Israeli government that there's let's real Zionists or hardcore fucking neocons and Trumpers and all that shit, that there's sleeper cells in the United States ready to let bombs off. I didn't believe that. But at the same time, you don't lead, like, you let them answer it. Just in case, you let them answer it and then you ask follow-ups to it. I'm sorry for pausing every 5 seconds, guys, but this is like brain-breaking. Come on, right?
Did that feel like not just spoon feeding a baby, but like spoon feeding it with the airplane, like in the baby? Okay.
The fucking choo-choo train. Choo-choo, here it comes. The fucking choo-choo train. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it did feel like that. All right, here we go. I mean, I said my point. Here we go.
You see, these things you're telling me, this is the first time I'm hearing them from you or from anybody. The Iranians are known for their knowledge, for their science, for their courtesy, for being civilized. Have you seen otherwise from them? Any other kind of behavior from them, or any violent behavior? Has anybody ever seen anything from them? Yeah, as I said, this is what Israel is trying to put into your minds. They are propagating that Iranians might be capable of doing such a thing, but this is totally untrue.
Jesse, is this not like it's Trump? Like, where's my fucking credit? I've been saying this too. Where's my fucking credit at? Is it not Trump on a podium like, where's my fucking credit at? I've been saying this the whole time. I've been building up these narratives for a long time. Where's my fucking credit for it? These guys are like, no, Israel's the one that's doing all, like, is it not leaning into that shit? It is. So I'll keep it moving. They're leaning into that shit. But here we go.
Because by nature, Iranians are pro peace and tranquility, and they're trying to actually make to somehow impact the minds of the decision makers and the people of the United States, and to scare them into getting involved in a war in my region that is not going to ensure any kind of interest for the United States. It is not to be in the interest of the United States to be involved in any kind of war in my region.
It wasn't that long ago, it was during the revolutionary period in Iran, that Iran had relations with Israel and commercial relations with Israel and reputedly bought weapons from Israel. What happened? How did that change? Who changed it and why, that relationship?
Israel itself is to blame because just look at what they have been doing in the last couple of years in Palestine, in Gaza. What Netanyahu has been doing, killing women and children, bombing schools and hospitals, and civilian and residential areas. This is nothing short of a full-scale genocide there. They have blocked the entry of food and medicine, any kind of humanitarian relief to Gaza.
So you're going to explain how there's U.S. mercenaries there, U.S. along with Israeli mercenaries and then Israeli IDF soldiers, like picking off civilians, seeking aid. Please bring that up, right? But maybe he doesn't want to offend America here. Which means what? We don't actually point out things that America's done. Fuck. All right, whatever. Here we go.
So
I'm an idiot. I'm mad, angry,
impacted
TDS.
the way my country and the whole region looks at Israel. And this, I mean, their own behavior and their own actions are to blame, because this is unacceptable what they have been doing in my region. And as far as I know, we have never received any kind of weapon from Israel. And I would like to tell you, even at that time, we did not want to have weapons. We did not want to have wars. We did not want to fight the Iraqis. It was the war that was imposed on us. And just like the way that this war was imposed on us by the Israeli regime, we did not attack Israel. They attacked us.
Can you imagine at the end of the diplomatic exchange with the United States, a world in which American companies invest again in Iran, sanctions are lifted, there is peace in the region? Is that your goal? And do you think it's possible?
You know, from the very beginning of my administration, I first tried to have the domestic solidarity and unity, further unity amongst the Iranian people. Then we tried to have better relations with our neighbors, neighboring countries of Iran. And then I had this talk with His Eminence, the Supreme Leader of Iran, and during which His Eminence emphasized that there is no limitation and there is nothing preventing the U.S. investors to come to Iran and to make investments in Iran, even presently. There has never been any limitation, anything barring them from coming into Iran, and this is the belief of the Supreme Leader of Iran. And but once again, I would like to tell you that it is Israel that does not want such things to happen in the region. Israel does not want to see peace and tranquility in the region. But I would like to once again repeat that the United States President, Mr. Trump, is he's capable enough to guide the region towards the peace and a brighter future, and put Israel in its place, or get
Trump is a strong
into
man,
a pit,
big shoulders.
an endless pit or a swamp, and that is a war
Swamp?
that Netanyahu wants the United States or the U.S. president to be dragged into. So it is up to the United States president to choose which path that I told you about. And as I told you, there is nothing preventing the commercial or industrial or economic activities by the U.S. Business people and investors. And of course, if there was a limitation, it was caused by the U.S. sanctions, not by us.
Mr. President, my final question: if
God.
we wind up in a broader war, could you expect assistance from Russia and China, military and economic assistance from your allies, Russia and China?
We have always put our trust in God, and in God we trust. And we are capable enough to defend ourselves and to stand on our own 2 feet and to defend our country, our territorial integrity to the last drop of our blood. As I have said again and again, we don't want wars. We don't want to develop a nuclear weapon, and this false image, this wrong mentality created in the minds of the U.S. Decision makers and officials is because of the devilish machinations instigated by Netanyahu and the Israeli regime and its policies based on warmongering. And the U.S. president should know that another war will only spread more instability in the Middle East, and it is not going to be in the interest or in favor of the U.S. president or the U.S. government to move in that or towards that direction.
I'm sorry to say, man, but if this guy looked at what was if Tucker or this guy looked at what was happening, like that is in the favor of those guys, yeah. The U.S. peddlers in our fucking government and all that shit. These little fuck boys and fuck girls. Yeah, that is in their interest to fuck things up in certain areas, destabilize them, then reshape it in their own image for its own purposes. Whether it's a glorified airfield or a glorified, tanker or warship or whatever the fuck. Or if it's like we need you to be like do the PR. Look like a democracy, but in reality, you're just, we're all working towards some sort of same plan. That's as far as I've seen. I'm sorry. That's what it looks like. Forgive me for that. That's what I've seen. And this guy is definitely playing to the crowd. And Tucker's okay with that, because Tucker's playing towards the crowd too. Oh man! And guess what saves critical thinking? Like my ideas that I'm saying right now, or Jesse, or anyone who's said anything during all this, our ideas are going to be drained out by what? By motherfuckers getting, look, Tucker is sympathetic towards terrorism. See this? right? Those guys are going to make loud noises, and they will be the counterpoint. Instead of like what I'm saying as a counterpoint, it'll be something like that. And thus, maybe not Tucker, maybe Tucker himself, possibly. I can't say I know one way or another, but Tucker fans or other content creators or personalities that like Tucker, that's what they will respond to. They won't respond to some of the questions we're asking. I'm just saying, bro. Like, it's not even being braggadocious, or I think that's just plain as shit. It is peanut butter and jelly, plain shit, bro. I'm telling, like, that's what I think is gonna happen. We have some legit. I think we had some legit questions here in regards to this interview. Something legit to say, or a critique or a commentary about it. But guess what? That will not be heard. What will be heard is if I made a full video about how Tucker is owned by jihadism and he just hates America and he's doing this for jihadism. If I made a whole video like that, that would get all the attention in the world, man. Tucker himself might respond to it. But if you have it like an actual critique, no one fucking hears it. And no, that's not a me thing. That's like, I see that around. People with actual actual followings, they ask questions a certain way and they never get fucking answered. They get skipped over for some dumb fuck that's an easy, low-hanging fruit version of a critique. And then these guys destroy it because it's so fucking stupid. Oh, yeah, Tucker's a fucking jihadist, sure. Right? It gets dismissed. He's a jihadist sympathizer. He's a anti-Semite. Whatever the fuck the thing is that's said. Right? It gets dismissed so easily. But actual legit questions get dismissed too, or they don't get looked at all. They disappear. And then when these guys pop up a few years later and they're like, yo, we were saying this. Yo, we were asking these questions. Yo, what happened here? They're going to show them, like, who the fuck are you? They're like, dude, what the fuck, dude? You see the frustration? Why people get frustrated? You see why? Forget about vanity. It could actually be like about asking questions. And their shit gets dismissed. Like obvious, blatant, in your face things to ask get dismissed for the sake of, well, Tucker Carlson's an anti-Semite. He's an anti-Semite. That's why he's doing this. And those, for some reason, those dumb fuck questions eat up the fucking room somehow. They eat up the fucking question, the narrative, the cultural zeitgeist of it. They eat it up. And real questions never get asked because of that. It's like, come on, man. Fuck. There are people saying that you guys there's questions out there that saying you guys stick bananas up your ass. We do not stick bananas up our ass. Thank you for clarifying that for the American people. Anyways, next question. It's like, dude, we're falling for this. Fuck. Not saying it's a trick, it's just saying like it's definitely canned, right? This is definitely canned. It's not like full blown, here's counter questions. Like if Tucker had these questions written down, right? He'd have counters written alongside of it, wouldn't he? Because like anyone can just skirmish out of them by saying, no, we're good and they're bad over there. Anyone can do that. He didn't give Ted Cruz that benefit, did he? He didn't. Because right now, PR-wise, Ted Cruz looks like a fucking asshole. And that wasn't Tucker exposing that. We already knew that. That was already obvious. It's like Tucker talking to Mike fucking Huckabee. Like, yeah, we know. We know already, bro. We heard him talk before. We know this fucking fool. Or we know it like his talking points at least. So yeah, you can make him look stupid. But guys like this, where it's like, who knows what's going on? No one knows what the fuck is going on. People don't know what's going on. So thus, those extra questions are actually pertinent. But instead, he saves them for the fucking idiots like Ted Cruz. Like, come on, man. I'm gonna be a fucking bad guy for this, dude. I am. I'm gonna get shit on for this. I already know. Or, well, let's be honest. no one might watch it. But if people do watch it in mass, or well, in my version of in mass, pause, they're gonna be like, "Yo, you fucking idiot! Why are you critiquing Tucker so harshly?" They're gonna protect it. They're gonna shit on me for this. It's like, fuck, is that right? That ain't right. I mean, I can handle, but it's like at the same time, it's like, yo, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? All right, whatever. Here we go.
They instead need to choose peace and tranquility, which is something that I am and my government and my country are after. And I also, as I said, I believe that the U.S. president is powerful enough to put Israel to Netanyahu in their place to contain them and replace warmongering, bloodshed, and conflicts with peace and tranquility.
Mr. President, thank you for taking the time to explain your perspective. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for providing me with an opportunity to tell you about what is going on in my mind and in my heart. And I hope that peace and tranquility will prevail, not just for the people of the United States, for the U.S. officials, but for the whole world, and especially the people of my region. And thank you again.
There were forces in Iran strongly opposed to this interview. We'd like to thank Azad Media and its CEO, independent journalist Mahdi Ahmadi, who helped to make it possible. I guess that's it. Maybe there's a little bit more with this. That's it. Still screen there. Got it.
To this.
Perfect screenshot. Tucker, half eyes closed. All right. I mean, I think you heard my thoughts on all of this. I don't think I have much to say. You heard it. If you don't understand what I'm saying, forgive me. Maybe ask me in the comments. I'll try to explain more, but I think it's pretty obvious what I'm saying. And it's disappointing. It really is. It's actually disappointing. But there's your video. Please subscribe if you feel like. Comment, agree, disagree. Tell me what you think. Yes, tell me your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think of all this? Is this legit? Is this bullshit? Tucker asked, he maybe, like in my opinion, maybe he asked like, okay, like initial questions, but then never followed up on them. Maybe at a time limit, whatever. But for me, I think asking one question and digging into it can actually expose a lot. Can expose a lot about the psyche of someone. Now, granted, he's not the all-powerful leader of Iran, right? There's different people doing different things, just like Trump isn't, right? But if I get a chance, I mean, I'd ask questions that would dig deeper, hopefully, based on the answers that are given to me. And I don't think Tucker did that. But, you know, if the point, I guess maybe Tucker's point is to say, like, hey, we shouldn't go to war with Iran. They're not that bad. See, look at his answers. They're not that bad. Granted, without the depth or follow-up questions, how can you really showcase that, like, hey, these guys aren't after war or nukes or whatever the fuck. Not saying they are. I don't think they are. I really don't think they are, personally. But if you leave it as a nice PR moment for the Iranian government, like this doesn't help either. Just like Tucker eating Russia's bread, like look how cool the malls are. See, look how nice their grocery marts are. See, look, fresh bread. Damn, that smells good. It's not a way, in my opinion, not a way to prove that Russia isn't tyrannical. Not saying they are. That's the thing. I'm not saying Iran or Russia are tyrannical. It's that the way Tucker goes about things does not actually showcase that they're not. It doesn't showcase that. He's leaving it up to, essentially, like, your word against mine type of thing. He's leaving it up to that. It's not good. It could end up there somewhat anyways, but, like, if you ask, like, follow-up questions that can dig deeper into the topic or deeper into context or whatever the fuck, it'll sound different than, Iran has nukes, or Iran wants nukes. They want to blow up the world. Right? That sounds stupid if you have further context and nuance to it, right? Which is what the point of, I thought this interview was to give further context and nuance so that we can see that, okay, these aren't some let's blow up Americans thing. But once again, I think he left it so shallow that the counter will just do the same thing. They'll just be like, yeah, well, they're lying. It'll just be Iran saying, we know. It'll be Iran's president saying, I know the truth. We're telling the truth. It'll be the U.S. counterpoint. They're lying. They're telling lies. That's it. No deeper, like, contextual questions to make us think deeper about the topic. Okay, this guy's answer is so detailed that your counter to him sounds like bullshit, which I think is very possible. But Tucker's just like, nah. I want to be able to do this again, so let me ask questions like this. But there it is. You tell me in the comment section what you think. I'm kind of wrecked, but you tell me what you think. Don't forget to share support. Hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, then donate. All of it is very much appreciated. Sorry, to go back to the comments. Yeah, go ahead. I guess you gotta, like, people are going to shit on me, I think, for not just shutting up and going along. I feel like that's the case. But if you don't feel that way, awesome. Thank you for hearing me out. And also, thank you for checking out the links in the description box. And also, thank you for giving this video a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in.